What's up? Welcome back to another edition of Thursday Tune. Sorry for that burp just there. Today, I had something else in mind that I want to do, but I didn't get enough time to get around to listening to the album. So that will be for a future video. I won't tell you what it is because I think it's cool and I don't want you to know about it ahead of time because I want to wow you, I guess. But what I'll do today instead is talk to you about a single that just came out for Kanye's newest album, or what's supposed to be a new album, called God's Country. The single is called Wash Us in the Blood, and I'm not going to go through like a full breakdown of the lyrics line by line because it's one song. And a lot of the lyrics are repetitive in and of themselves, but I'll kind of break down the song, go through some of the major themes of it, go through kind of the production and how I think it links back to his earlier work, and also a little bit more detail about the music video and the person who is behind the music video, because I think there's definitely some cool stuff there. So we'll start off with the song itself. So it's a song featuring Travis Scott. He only has like a pretty small part. I think he only has maybe 4 or 5 lines, contribute some ad-libs here and there, but his contribution to the song is fairly minimal. But in terms of the lyrics, thematically, they talk about police violence, very heavily mention religion, gangs, and there's also ideas about capital punishment, mass incarceration, oppression, and control. And in particular, there's like more like very specific lines about capital punishment, for example, where Travis Scott mentions the fact that death by execution is still death by execution. That's like that's the same thing. But the death penalty is still a thing in 30 states, which I'm very much against the death penalty, just because we know that there are people who have been falsely put on death row, and then evidence came out decades later proving they're innocent. So it just makes me think, like, how many people have been killed that were completely innocent. So I think there's just too much error space in order for the death penalty to still exist. But it's another topic. And then briefly about control. This is something that Kanye's kind of been on a kick on, maybe for his whole career, but definitely on Yeezus. It's like it definitely punched through the wall, where he like talked about how people were trying to control him, weren't letting him kind of do the things he wanted to do. And in the Yeezus era, that was more about like him getting into the fashion industry and stuff like that. In this particular not episode, but song, he talks about how people like want to like sign him and work with him, but they only want one version of him, which he calls Kanye. But I think that's like kind of fundamentally how he doesn't see himself. Like, if he wants to be who he wants to be, and if you want to work with him, you have to accept who he is. So I think that was like a brief way to kind of reference back to Yeezus, but at the same time, like, just let the world know, like, you can work with me, but like, you have to accept me for who I am. You can't like try and control me. You can't only want one version of me. And so kind of going back to the instrumentation of the song, the beat, there are a lot of kind of layers to it. So there's like a choral hum, like a hum, which is, I think, really cool, adds a lot of atmosphere. There's also, during the chorus, like a really heavy bass drum sound, which has been absent for his last 2 projects. And you have to go back to more Life of Pablo to get that same feeling. And that kind of heavy bass sound brings like a kind of a club feeling to it. And then there's also kind of tribal drums in the background, which you can hear those kind of tribal drums and that more kind of primitive drum style on Yeezus. And those kind of the pattern and the tempo of those drums themselves reminds me of like Chicago footwork music. I think it's called footwork or step-in. There might be another term that I'm not aware of that people use to describe that style of music itself, but it's like a kind of high tempo, kind of very rhythmically driven style of music that people do footwork into. I've never done footwork before. I've watched some YouTube videos of it. Heard Hannibal Buress talk about it before, and I think Chance the Rapper has a song on acid rap. I think it's called juke music. I think that's what they call it, something like that. But Chance the Rapper has a song on acid rap that's like a footwork, juke, whatever music song, and it's like, I can't remember the name of the song at the moment, and I wish I would have looked it up before, but it's like very distinct drum pattern that he's using in that song, and that's, I guess, pretty iconic for that style of music. And that kind of, I don't know if that was done intentionally by Kanye on this song, because there's several references to Chicago, the South Side, within the lyrics, and then also in the music video, there are a lot of different like clips. It's almost like a collage, like a video collage. A video collage is the music video, at least one half of it. And there are several clips of like people dancing and doing footwork. So the instrumentation may be a callback to Chicago, just like the lyrics in those clips were, or it just may be like a coincidence. Not quite sure on that. But getting back to the instrumentation before I go more into the video, because there's a good bit to dig into there. So there's also this kind of like, at times, this siren sound in the background, which briefly there's like references to police violence in both the lyrics and the music video. So once again, it's one of those things where I don't know if the siren sound in the music is supposed to invoke that feeling in you, or if they're just disconnected. Not quite sure. But I mentioned before that, or I think I mentioned before that, this song kind of, in many ways, has connections to earlier works of Kanye. So in particular, some things that like jumped out to me were that siren sound is something that is like a big part of some of the songs in Yeezus, in particular Send It Up and I'm In It. That like siren sound is there in both of those songs. And also this song itself is like, in some ways it sounds kind of industrial, so like industrial hip hop, but it also has a very club feel, which I think comes from that like very, very heavy bass drum that's used in the chorus. So both of those things kind of give this, I guess, kind of a weird thing to say, but an industrial club song, which probably has been done before, but it just like, it's weird that it fits into both of those worlds so well. And I think that kind of industrial sound is something that he played with on Yeezus, and the club sound is something that's definitely a little bit heavier on The Life of Pablo, definitely more than any of his other albums. Like obviously his other albums got a lot of play in like the clubs and stuff, but I think on The Life of Pablo, that was definitely much more of a club friendly song, in particular when you think of songs like Fade, for example. So Fade was the one that I wrote down that is kind of the iconic song from The Life of Pablo that this song, in terms of the club feel, kind of mimics and imitates. And then kind of the lyrics, well, before we get to the lyrics of the song, but another aspect of this song is that there is an electronic feel to the instrumentation itself. And on his last album, Jesus is King, the song On God, like has a very synth heavy electronic feeling sound to it. So if you go and listen to all three of those songs, on Yeezus, Send It Up, on The Life of Pablo, Fade, and then on Jesus is King, On God, if you listen to all three of those songs and then come back and listen to this, you can definitely like hear all of those elements of those songs kind of rolled into this song to create something that definitely doesn't, it sounds similar to other songs in the discography, but it definitely is unique in his discography for combining all those things together. And then lyrically, His last album, Jesus is King, obviously from the title itself, you can tell it's a very religious inspired album. And he's talked about how he will only make secular music, only make religious music, or maybe not religious, but he won't make music that touched on many of the themes that his prior albums touched on, which includes, like I would just say for short, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, like all of those type of things that typically religious songs don't touch on, or if they do touch on them, it's not in a glorifying way. It's in a negative way. So the lyrics are like very heavy on religion, and even the title itself, "Wash Us in the Blood," which is like a reference to Jesus, who he died for our sins, so his blood kind of washed away the sins of humanity. So the constant like reference and invocation of that phrase of "wash us in the blood" that he uses throughout the song is either a way, and he always says "wash us in the blood." So the us could be, he could be referring to himself as us. He could be referring to his family as us. He could be referring to his like family friend network, or he can be referring to us as black people, or us as all of humanity. I'm not sure which us he is referring to, but he feels that there is some us that he is referring to, that he feels like Jesus's blood needs to like wash away the sins and evil from. And that, I think, like very much the lyrics, like I said, there are like a lot of things that are very repetitive. In particular, the "wash us in the blood" is said several times throughout the song, and the song's only about 3 minutes long, and it's not lyrically dense at all. So because of that, it leaves a lot of room for interpretation on kind of what some of the lyrics mean. But I think the music video that was released at the same time as the song helps to clarify kind of some of the themes and the messaging that he wants to get across. So I've mentioned the music video a couple of times already. The music video starts out with a scene from a George Floyd protest where, forget what city this was in, but there was a person, there was like a crowd of people and a person like kneeling on the ground, and this cop like walked up to them and just shoved them out of the way for no reason, completely unprovoked. And as he's walking back to where, like, behind the police cars where all the other police are hanging out, I guess this person was his supervisor. So I don't know if she was his immediate supervisor or like some level higher, but she was a supervisor in that particular scenario. And she immediately started berating him because she knew, like, one, the visual of that, of a cop assaulting someone for no reason didn't look well. But also, like, not only from like the PR point of view, but just from like being a good police officer point of view, there was no reason for him to do that. And in this particular dynamic, she was a superior and she was also a black woman. He was a white man. So that presents kind of an interesting dynamic that we don't see a lot in American society, where a black woman is an immediate supervisor to a white man, and also that black woman like actually using her authority to berate the white man. So that's like, I think in many ways that sets the tone for the music video. And then the rest of the music video is kind of repeated imagery of black people in different settings, whether it be police violence or dancing and like having fun, or in a religious context where there's gospel singing happening. So it shows all of those things. There's also one of the dancing people, and this is something that I was just kind of reading some other stuff, but one of the people dancing in the video was Breonna Taylor, who was murdered by not St. Louis, Louisville police when they did a no-knock raid, and they did it on the wrong house, and they just shot up the place, and she died, which is very unfortunate. Fortunately, one of the police officers who was involved in that has been arrested, but I mean, all of the people involved should have been arrested, because yeah, you can read more about Breonna Taylor. It's pretty horrific that it also took weeks and months for someone to be arrested in that. But very briefly, another side, a headline I read, I didn't get a chance to read the article, stated that apparently the FBI office in Louisville considers that like their number one priority is looking into that case. So hopefully that yields something. So there's like images from the George Floyd protests, Breonna Taylor dancing, and then the video that maybe many of you have seen, where the beginning of the video that Ahmaud Arbery, where he's jogging down the street and the truck's coming around the corner. So it shows like a little bit of the beginning of that video. So once again, I think all of those things kind of, maybe the wash us in his blood is the us that he's referring to as black people, how he feels that like black people need like a higher power to come in and save us from the situation that we're in. And I think he doesn't kind of get bogged down in some of the things that he said over the past couple years, where he talks about, yeah, I'm not going to get into that. But I think that's who the us is referring to, is kind of black America, that like we're in a shit spot and we need the blood of Jesus to like wash over us and like cleanse us and like make things better. So yeah, the video was interesting. And so like I said before, that it's like one half of the video of this kind of the music video is kind of a video collage, and then the other half, so it's like split screen. One half you have this video collage of like short clips kind of playing throughout, and on the other half, occasionally you'll get a short clip, and then occasionally you'll get like a CGI face of Kanye. And if you've ever seen the Black Skinheads music video, it very much looks, or it doesn't look like that, but that's what it reminded me of when I saw it. Good video, good song. Briefly, I forgot to mention this, but the song itself was mixed by Dr. Dre, which I think this is the first time that Dr. Dre and Kanye have worked together in an official capacity. So that's interesting. Makes me wonder if they've worked together unofficially before and like haven't released anything, or if this is like the first time and there's going to be more stuff to come. So that'll be cool to see two like legendary producers in the rap world come from kind of different schools of production, but I think they've been around and doing producing so long and have been inspired and worked with so many people that obviously they can work together on something like this and create really good music. So it kind of makes me hopeful for if they have anything else kind of locked and loaded. But that was an aside. The music video was it was directed by a guy named Arthur Jaffa, or Jaffa, J-A-F-A, Arthur J-A-F-A. And he's done a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about him. I briefly read his Wikipedia page, but he's done music videos for Solange and Jay-Z. For Jay-Z, he did the music video for the song 444, which is from his album 444. Really good album. But for Solange, he was the director of photography for Cranes in the Sky and Don't Touch My Hair, which are both like, I mean, I love that album, A Seat at the Table, and then those two videos are also like very, very good. I think Solange was a director for those two videos, but at least the style of the videos, at least from can't get my words together, from some of the other stuff that I've seen from Arthur Jaffa, the style of the videos definitely fall in line with his style of cinematography and directing. So definitely check out more of his stuff. In particular, he has this video installation called Love is the Message is Death, which I didn't know about until I just looked him up. And I wish I had known about this beforehand, because he actually gave permission to a bunch of different art museums to live stream this for 48 hours over the 26th and 28th. So I'm a little too late to watch it for free, but someone recorded it at some point years ago when it was first installed. So I watched the recording, and the recording is the music for the video is Ultralight Beams by Kanye. And it's kind of like that collage style where it's a a bunch of different clips of black people in various settings. So like excelling at something. So there's like a video clip of Cam Newton running, who won MVP a couple years ago. Video clips of like Miles Davis and James Brown and stuff. But there's also video clips from the civil rights movement and different kind of luminaries of that time period. There's video, or there's a clip of, and this is like probably one of the most horrific things that I've ever watched. There's a clip from a police brutality where this happened in South Carolina several years back, where this guy's running away from the police and the cop shoots him in his back and kills him. And yeah, I mean, it's the cop at the time, like doing a report before the video came out, because there was no body cam footage, because body cams, I don't think, weren't like really a thing yet for people to wear all the time, police officers. Someone just happened to be like recording over a fence, like kind of hidden. So the police officer didn't know this video existed, but he said in his report that when he shot, he thought it was his taser, even though that wouldn't have made sense, because when he decided to shoot, like the guy was way far out of taser range, so he knew what he was doing. But that's besides the point. This video installation, Love is the Message is Death, just kind of, I guess, shows black people in different lights in America, whether they be experiencing police violence or like doing amazing things, or just living everyday life, like dancing at a wedding or something like that. And I think it's maybe meant to show the full range of black people in America. We're not just like the always downtrodden, and we're all also not like the people who are always happy and dancing. We're also not the people who are always doing the best at sports. We're also not always the people experiencing police brutality. That's all of those things are part of the black experience in America. So I mean, you can type that into YouTube, and you can find the same video that I watched. It's really cool. It's probably really cool to see in person, like in a good setting, but didn't have that opportunity. But overall, back to the song. I think the song is cool. There's some rough parts, but I think the production quality and the mixing, that sound a little rough. But overall, I think the song is cool. You should check it out. I am looking forward to his new album. I mean, Kanye is definitely, I think I've said this before, my favorite artist in any medium. So there's no painter, novelist, director, cinematographer, whatever, whose art I like more than his. So I'm always excited for something new. That doesn't mean I always love the new stuff, but I'm always looking forward to it, to see what he has in store. So thanks for watching Thursday Tunes. Come around next time. Hopefully I have the cool thing I want to show you this time that I didn't get around to. But see you next time. Peace.